So Respawn just announced the newest update coming to Apex Legends, the Chaos Theory Collection event, alongside it with the Caustic Town takeover and tons of balance changes, quality of life changes, just so many new things added. And normally I wouldn't make a video like this going over patch notes and whatnot. This is actually the first time I've done it, but this is the biggest set of patch notes that we have gotten in Apex Legends and some of my favorite changes to date. So this is gonna be a good time to be playing Apex. If you're a fan of Apex, this is gonna be good, man. Tons of juicy content in here and so many good changes. Let's just get started right at the very top. The Caustic Town takeover. It looks like it's taking over water treatment. Well, it is taking over water treatment, which is a very good spot on the map for, because how many of you guys go to water treatment? Let's be honest, water treatment isn't a very popular place. You don't see tons of people there all the time, and it's gonna bring some life into water treatment. And the area looks really cool too. It looks like inside there's some juicy loot. It looks like the caustic gas kind of fills up the area, and if you're staying there too long, I think you're going to be taking some damage, but we're not going to know for sure until it actually goes live. That's just a first impression. That's what it looks like to me. Next up, the Ring Fury Escalation Takeover, which, by the way, the Escalation Takeover is just their wording on a new game mode, basically. Think of it as a new game mode, okay? So, the Ring Fury Escalation Takeover is going to be the new playlist for Apex. It's going to be the same BR, same rules, nothing changes in the sense of Apex Legends, the Battle Royale. What does change is the ring, okay? So, you're going to have the main ring that always closes in, like in every BR, you've got the storm that closes in on you, and it pushes everybody to the center of the map, the center of the ring, wherever it closes in, right? Well, now they're adding little pockets of rings inside of that safe space, okay? So you're gonna have rings that pop up throughout the game, and you're not gonna be able to go in those rings, which is gonna be chaotic, okay? It's gonna add a bunch of chaos to the game. It's really throwing a wrench in things, really, is what it's doing. But by adding this, it kind of leads into the next thing they added, which is called the heat shields. These are going to be a new item added into the game that basically give you a shield that lets you stand in the storm without taking damage. Think of it as a Gibraltar bubble, but inside the storm. And when you're inside of that bubble, you're not going to take storm damage, okay? So here's what they say about the heat shields. The heat shields cast a protective dome, pouring the deadly effect of the ring over the barrier for a short amount of time, enabling legends to loot, revive, and generally make some amazing plays outside of the ring. If you're inside of the dome, healing items is sped up by 50%, and the speed of revives is increased by 25%. So that alone, just that alone, is going to change the way Apex is played, especially at a high level or even in ranked, right? Like maybe not necessarily in a public lobby. You're gonna find use for them in public lobbies for sure, but in ranked and in a competitive setting, that's gonna change the game entirely, man. That is it's a good change. I love the idea of it, but does it go in your inventory? No, it doesn't, which leads us to the next change they added. The survival slot. Okay, so now when you open up your menu, you're gonna notice that the heat shield doesn't actually go into your inventory, but there's actually a new spot for it. So the survival slot aims to eliminate the choice between normal loot and situational utilities like a mobile respawn beacon or a heat shield. Now there's no reason not to carry one of these around. Coordinate with your team, and the possibility for more survivability tactics soar. Like the heat shield, the survival slot itself will continue to be in the game even after the escalation takeover ends. So this is a permanent change to Apex. This isn't part of the playlist. This is new to the game, and it's here to stay. So we're gonna have the heat shield, and we're gonna have the survival slot in your inventory from here on out. The next major change as we scroll down the patch notes is the no-fill option for matchmaking. Now this one is a little bit controversial, but I think people don't understand how strong this is going to be just for the everyday player, okay? So I know people want solos, and people are thinking that this is a way of adding solos into the game, and maybe it kind of is. It kind of is, okay? And trust me, I would like to see solos too. I love playing solos when it was here, but they've made it very clear that we're not going to have solos in Apex Legends. So this is kind of the next best thing for those of you out there that want to play solos. But for those of you that don't want to play solos, this is also a big change for you guys. I'm going to give you an example. How many times have you played Apex Legends and you've had a random person on your team, a random third, or maybe you're playing solo in general and just one of your teammates, he launches solo, it lands by themselves, probably a sweaty TTV Wraithmate, let's be honest. let's be honest, it's probably a Wraith main. It lands solo, dies, and then just leaves. Now you're left frustrated because you could have gotten that banner and you could have rezzed that teammate and you would like to have a teammate with you. At the end of the day, Apex Legends is a team game, right? And people can play however they want to play. If you're a solo player that likes to drop by themselves and play their own game, then the world to you. But the majority of us out here, we like to have our teammates with us. And it doesn't matter if it's a good player or a bad player. It doesn't matter. It's a team game, and just having a body on the field has value in it, right? So for those of you out there that want to launch solo, die, and quit, then this is perfect for you guys. And this is even better for those of you out there that want to play as a team, because you're not going to have those solo players on your team anymore. You're going to have teammates that are willing to stick around and watch you get the banner and watch you get the revive, and it's going to make games more interesting at the end because you're going to be alive as a team, right? It's going to have way more clutch moments, and even if you're not using the no-fill option, you're going to benefit from it. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this. I wasn't going to go over all the cosmetics and whatnot, but Bangalore got an heirloom. All right, Bangalore's heirloom's up next, and we have to touch on it just because Bangalore always gets the short end of the stick on cosmetics. I know it's not a big balance change or anything like that, but Bangalore heirloom, okay? So all you Bangalore fans out there, you got a little love this time around, which is kind of surprising because she's really gotten the short end of the stick up until this season, okay? Now, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of the video. The balance changes, the legend changes, the weapon changes, the quality of life changes. This is the meat and potatoes of the video, okay? First up, the Caustic nerf. Now, for all you Caustic mains out there that you're sweating, don't worry about it. Caustic is not going to be in a bad place. The purpose of the gas is to hold an area. Think of it as like a Wattson fence, right? Wattson fences aren't meant to damage you. They're not, it's the way to hold people out, right? And that's the way that I personally look at Caustic. The main difference between Wattson and Caustic up until this point was that Caustic could be used offensively, and he still can. Don't get yourself. He still can be used offensively, but the damage that the gas caused was really, really oppressive. It was way too high, and when you pair it with the slow effect, the vision impairing effect, everything just as a package, Caustic was very oppressive. Now, here's what they say in the patch notes. The Nox gas grenade cooldown increased from 2.5 minutes to 3.5 minutes. So that's his ultimate. They increased how long it takes to get his ultimate, which isn't a big change, right? Because you can always just find ult accelerants. That's whatever, right? All cooldowns are minor detail. This is the big one. Nox gas damage at a flat rate of 5 HP per tick instead of ramping up from 6 HP to 12 HP. This is good. This is really, really good because at the end of the day, Apex Legends is a shooting game with abilities, not a BR based around abilities. So the gas doing so much damage makes it feel like it's not a shooter game, it's an ability game. It feels like what Overwatch turned into, right? Now, this is the dev note that they said about Caustic. Caustic is effective at slowing down engagements. The entirety of his kit revolves around gas with a large area effect, slow, and vision obstruction, and direct health damage. It's proven to be too oppressive in too many scenarios, especially considering that your teammates can play in the gas relatively unimpaired. Reducing the gas damage seems like a fair compromise that stays true to the character, while making him less oppressive on the receiving end. Now, this last sentence right here is really important. We will be monitoring the data and the gameplay closely. If these changes hit Caustic's appeal or effectiveness too hard, we will revisit him accordingly, okay? So basically, in short, Caustic is going to remain a defensive legend. He is going to be able to hold out buildings. He's going to be able to take over buildings. But the idea is that the gas is going to think of it as like a concussion grenade, okay? The gas acts as a concussion grenade. It's not a frag grenade. The frag does damage, concussion stuns, and makes it easier for you to shoot them. If somebody's in your gas, if an enemy's in your gas, they outline themselves like if they were scanned by Bloodhound. They're easy to see through the gas, and you can kill them because they're slowed. So if you're a Caustic in your own gas, you've got the same mobility, the same movement, while your enemy is slowed. Your enemy is they can't see as well, and you can just beam them. So you got to rely more on your gun than your gas. Great change. I think this is perfect. I've seen some people saying that Caustic's going to be dead, this, that, and the other. Not a chance, man. Not a chance. Caustic is still going to be a good legend. Is he going to be meta? I don't know, maybe not. Probably not in ALGS. You're not going to see Caustics running around in pro play. But for us regular people, just our day-to-day Apex Legends, we're hopping into an arena, is Caustic going to be fine? Yes, absolutely. And it's going to be even better for those people that are playing against the Caustic. Like, I just want to ask you guys a question. Does it feel good dying to Caustic Gas? If you die to Caustic Gas, do you feel like you were outplayed? Does it feel good to die to Caustic Gas? Not really. So this is a good change. I really like this. And for you Caustic mains out there, don't sweat it, because Caustic's still going to be a good legend, all right? Next up, Pathfinder. This is a change that I've been waiting for months. I expected this like 6 months ago. I don't know why they kind of dilly-daddled around, man, but it's about damn time, all right? They removed low profile. Here's the deal. Pathfinder's always kind of been in a weird place. For those of you that didn't play Apex Legends at the very beginning, his hitbox was like Swiss cheese. It was all over the place. It was hard to hit. He had like holes in his hitbox. So what they did is they increased the size of his hitbox. They made his hitbox massive. He's like the size, I think he's bigger than Caustic. I'm pretty sure Pathfinder's hitbox is bigger than Caustic. It's comparable to Gibraltar. It's huge. And then on top of that, when they nerfed him on top of that by giving him low profile. So they gave him a massive hitbox, and then they gave him low profile, which means they take more damage. Well, that was ridiculous, and they finally got rid of it. Pathfinder mains, rise up. It's about time, man. It's about time. I'm stoked to see more Pathfinders roaming around. It's gonna be good. Now we got 3 smaller changes here to Gibraltar, Horizon, and Revenant. Gibraltar, they removed his 50% faster healing when he's in his bubble. Horizon, they increased her ultimate cooldown, which, again, I said this earlier, ultimate cooldowns, when you increase the ultimate cooldown, it's not a big deal, because once again, one ultimate accelerant, and it just completely negates that anyway, so that's a whatever. And then Revenant, his silence now disables Mirage's cloak while he's reviving and respawning, and Octane Swift Mend, which is when Octane, he gains health. You know how Octane gains health over time? So when you're silenced, that's a no bueno. That's not gonna happen anymore. The next massive change is coming to my girl Wattson, okay? When was the last time you saw Wattson roaming around in pubs? You don't see them very often. They're rare. It's like a unicorn. You see a Wattson roaming around, it's like you saw a unicorn. Well, they gave her a very, very good buff. So how Octane, he regens his health over time, right? Wattson will now regen shield over time at half of what Octane regens his health. So original Octane used to regen at the same pace. They doubled it just, I think like last season they doubled it. So Wattson regens her shield over time. Really good change. And this is going to be a really good change for competitive too. If any of you guys watch Pro Player ALGS, heals are always an issue, right? They're always running on fumes. They try to get positioning, and then they, you know, it's a different game they're playing over there. So having a Wattson maybe become meta again is very interesting, and I'm excited. And we're going to see more Wattsons just playing the game as a whole, simply because of this change. Great change. Absolutely love it. Now next up, Rampart. With the introduction to Fuse, Fuse was able to just absolutely destroy anything that Rampart built. Anything. It didn't matter. It was an instant destroy. Even if you threw grenades, like if you threw frags at Rampart stuff, it would just destroy everything. So now they gave it more health. The shield, the Sheila, the Rampart equipment gets more health. It's going to be much more difficult to destroy, which is a fantastic change, especially when you pair this buff with the buff that she just received at the start of the season. Rampart mains rejoice, because this is great changes, and Rampart's never been a very popular legend, so hopefully we see some more Ramparts roaming around. Now that's all we've got for the legend changes. Let's move on to the weapon changes, starting with the gold weapons. All gold AR and LMG optics are going to be a 2x bruiser now instead of the optical sight. So this is a good change, because the majority of players prefer the 2x optic. Now, this is the caveat. If you don't like the 2x bruiser, that is perfectly okay, because the next change is they're allowing you to change the optic on these weapons. For guns with fully locked attachments like the fully kitted gold weapons, most crate weapons, you can remove the optic and replace it with a different sight. This does not apply to the Kraber, which makes sense, right? I mean, what are you gonna do? Put a H-cog on the Kraber? Like, get it together, okay? So any other weapon but the Kraber, you can take the optic off and you can put whatever sight you want on it. This is a great change that I've been waiting for so long. I'm stoked that they finally implemented it. Now, for the floor loot, the Mastiff finally got a nerf, okay? Finally got a nerf. They decreased the pellet damage down from 13 down to 11, and they increased the fire rate just a tiny little bit. Now listen, here's the thing. I saw people talking about this on Twitter saying that this is more of a buff, if anything, just because of the fire rate change. This couldn't be farther from the truth. The worst thing about the Mastiff was getting 2-tapped. Well, with the damage decrease, you can no longer get 2-tapped by a Mastiff. If you're dying to a Mastiff, it's going to take 3 shots, and it's going to take 3 big shots, okay? So it's gonna add a skill ceiling to it. You have to be consistent. To hit 3 shots in a row with the Mastiff, you've got to be consistent, and you've got to hit all 3, right? So now it adds a skill ceiling to it, so it's not going to feel quite as bad dying to a Mastiff in 2 shots. Not only that, there's counterplay to it too, because by the time they shoot 3 shots with a Mastiff, you have time to react to it and play accordingly. So I love this change. Plus, we're going to see more EVA 8s around. More EVA 8s and more Mozambiques with hammers, which is exciting. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be great. And the EVA 8 is in a really good spot too. I've never seen anybody complain about the EVA 8, and I wouldn't mind if that was meta for a little while. I think it's going to be really good. 2 more quick balance changes to weapons. They increased the magazine size for the Wingman by 1 with every single magazine, so it doesn't matter what magazine size you have on it, purple, blue, gold, doesn't matter. They increased the mag size by 1, and then they increased the hip fire spread by the Hemlock, so you can't just hip fire and beam people from stupid distances. So 2 good changes. I'm excited for the Wingman change. I'm a big fan of the Wingman. I'm biased. It's one of my favorite guns to use, so I don't mind that change at all. Either one of these. I mean, both of these are whatever changes, but good changes nonetheless. Next up, some quality of life changes, starting with Kings Canyon loot pools, okay? So I think everybody is in agreement when you're playing on Kings Canyon, sometimes the loot can be a little So they upped the loot, they changed some rarities on stuff, they changed some POIs. The loot should be better distributed throughout Kings Canyon, which is really, really good. Next, the assist counter that we see in ranked matches, you know, right beside your kills, you can see how many assists you have. They are adding that counter into public matches, so it's going to be ranked, regular games, doesn't matter. You're going to see the assist counter, which is nice because it's always good to see how well you're doing. Sometimes you have 0 kills, but you're assisting in all of them, and it's just like it's a feel-good thing, right? It's a feel-good thing, and I think everybody can appreciate that. They also added the assist and the knock counter at the end of the game, so on the squad banner at the end of the match, you're going to see it there too. Again, more statistics showing you like, hey, you're participating in the game. It's just a feel-good thing, and it's a good change. Now, the last one I want to talk about is the badge progression. Now, this is one thing that I want to see them add more onto. So any sort of progression in this game is good, right? It kind of reminds me of how you can unlock camos in Call of Duty, right? So you get so many kills with a certain gun, do whatever, right? Well, now it's going to be more specific, more detailed when you're trying to complete some challenges for your badges, and it's nice to see more statistics, more challenges. Stuff like this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully one day we're gonna have even more to achieve. I think this is the first step to true success, okay? So that's all I've got for you guys today. Different sort of video. I don't usually do stuff like this. I'm just a gameplay guy, you know? I'm just a gameplay guy. But when I read these patch notes, I got so excited. I love this game to death. This is my favorite game of all time, and when I read these patch notes, I had to share my excitement with you guys, because these are by far the best patch notes that they've released to date. By far my favorite. Let me know down below how you guys feel about these patch notes. I think this is a step in the right direction for the game as a whole, and I can't wait till next week to test these changes out. It's gonna be really, really good. This is a good time to be playing Apex, man. This is a really good time to be a fan of Apex. I'm pumped. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the different type of video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for our regular scheduled gameplay upload. Take care, guys.